Hello everyone and welcome to GoGoMuffin guys, and today we will be taking a look at which class would be the best for you, as now the global server has just launched and we are of course going to take a look at what playstyle suits you the most. Now first things first, there are three types of classes essentially. 5 classes but 3 types. You've got your tank in Sword Bearer, your healer in the priest or acolyte, and then the rest are going to be all DPS or damage classes, okay? And also for the sword bearer as well as the acolyte class, you can still spec into the DPS subclass as well. So you're not locked into that certain playstyle, but just know the skills and the equipments will be very different. So only the sword bearer has the ability to become a tank, okay? That you have to understand. Otherwise, you cannot pick an assassin and expect to tank that way. Okay, maybe they'll change things in the future, we don't know, but that is how it was in the closed beta. So, taking a look at the sword bearer tank, you'll upgrade to the sword adept and then the sword master. So as you can see, it's very cool looking character that is more focused on the physical aspect of things, and of course the only class right now that has a dedicated tank role. Now, if you take a look at the Acolyte, or as I like to call it, the Priest class, you will be able to heal your allies, and it is a pivotal role because for each dungeon, usually you have a tank, a healer, and the rest are filled out with damage dealers. So it's going to be a very good class to fill out, and healers are always in need. And again, you can still spec into a mage or damage dealer role if you choose so. Now, taking a look at the remaining classes, the Shadow Lash, which is a thief, magic thief, wayfarer, the archers, you see that all of these, alongside scholar, the mage, are going to be all focused for damage. And now I'm very fortunate to be part of the Eden Guild, and they have this wonderful ranking system figured out in terms of the damage output. So you can see that in terms of the tier 0 ranking and then the value, they all will shift. So some characters are really good early game, but later on they kind of lose value later on. So T5 is the tier 5 upgrades. So you can see at the tier 5 upgrades, the rank 1 becomes the priest actually, whereas when you're starting out in the beginning, priests are rank 3 in terms of the DPS value. And for example, archer goes from the worst and then number 1 for 3 tiers, and then all the way back to the 4th slot. So it really depends on what type of damage dealers you want to be and whether or not you want to spec into a tank in the sword bearer or a healer into the acolyte, because these two offer a very unique playstyle that the other accounts or the other classes may not be able to provide. So make sure that you follow whichever playstyle you want to choose and choose your classes based on your personal preferences or how you want to play the game, your playstyle essentially. And in terms of DPS, like we've said, you can use the class dragon ranking, which is one component of the DPS class. There are other dungeons, other bosses you may fight, and they may do much better. For example, an archer may do much better on a separate boss versus the dragon one. Okay, so very difficult to say which DPS will be the best, and the rankings do fluctuate, so eventually you should be looking at somewhat of a fairly balanced outlook. Now personally for me, on my journey, I'm going to run 2 accounts. The first one is of course going to be the main shielding sword bearer. Okay, I'm going to play as a tank, and I just love tanking. When I played, for example, World of Warcraft, I was also a tank back then. Okay, and honestly I just love having the ability to charge at the most menacing foe and not even sweat about it. So personally, that's where I'm going to go in sword bearer, going into the tank route. Now my alternative account, which most likely will be free to play, will be on a priest account, because they will pair up really well. And in this game you actually want to partner up, and we'll just change this to TIMAEUSS, and you actually want to partner up with your account, if you have your own account, or find a partner, a friend, or a guildmate to push content together so that when one person is offline, the other can take over. That is such an important part of the game, and it will make your journey a lot smoother and more fun as well. So I'll have more guides coming up on this channel for this guide, but hopefully this has been really helpful in determining what type of gameplay you want. And just to note, if you're an assassin, it's a close range DPS with lots of flash magic attacks and summoning shurikens and all that stuff. Archer is ranged, and so is mage, but mage is going to be magical, whereas archer is of course going to be a bit more physical. So hopefully this was helpful, and thank you once again guys for watching this video. Now I'm going to start my journey, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye now.